So, hello everyone. Today I will be doing a Carver. So basically this gummy boy, and yeah, this is pretty much it. If anyone is new here, I am Eric and I'm redesigning every single monster from Diablo 1. No bosses, only monsters. Bosses I will do later. And last stream I have done this flaming boy. And I thought this might be a last stream when I thought I have finished him, but I think at some point I will make like another stream with this guy, because I asked like my art director from the company where I work. I mean, I asked in a group about a paint over, and he did a really cool paint over. So I guess I have to adjust this painting to this painting, since I like this one better. And it kind of has the things that I decided to not make. So I decided to make like the chest to be like opened, and he closed it, gave it like a flaming core, and the face, he kind of adjusted the skull, because now it looks like it is screaming, and mine looks kind of like it's like missing a brain or something like this. It just like look kind of silly. So this is like the only thing that I would like to adjust. But I guess I will just do it off stream, and I will just try to match this one, since, as I said, I prefer it much more. And yeah, this is basically the end for this guy. And today I will focus on making a Carver. And the Carver is a fallen one, basically. This is like the lowest tier monster. This is the second version of it, so it's slightly stronger, but it's not the strongest one. The strongest one is a pale blue one. So I got some references and everything. Also found this cool reference for burning dead archer, and generally for burning dead guys. So I will keep it. I also really like the eyes, so most likely I will use them somehow in this design or in this drawing. Aladdin has blue skin. This is kind of like blue, and this guy has a lot of silver in his like blood, and he is blue. Basically, this is some sort of a disease. And these screenshots are from Headhunter, and most likely I will do this guy in this type of a lighting, because I really like it. I know it's kinda like desaturated, because this is like a movie, also a really cool one. So I guess if I increase the saturation, this is how most likely it looks like in a real life. So I think I will just stick to this. And I also got some references for the geometry of a body, so most likely it will be a bit easier for me to simply draw this guy. So draw the anatomy and everything, because he's pretty much naked, but I won't be drawing him naked. So to start with, I want to start really simple with a drawing, like to prepare a base, a perspective and everything. And I want this fella to be like slightly rotated, so more or less I will do like a perspective grid for me. So I won't have to think that much about the perspective. I also don't want to like keep it extremely like I don't want to be really, how to say it, strict with the geometry and perspective and everything. I kind of still want to make it a little bit more loose, but I just want to make it so it will be slightly easier for me to just do a drawing. And since this monster is relatively small, I kind of want to draw him like beneath the horizon line, so we could see that he is actually a small creature. We will kind of look at him from the top, which I don't think is a problem, but this is how I just want to make this guy appear. And this line is slightly incorrect. It will be a bit, well, it will be a bit lower. So if you are also struggling with the perspective, I think this is a really neat idea to make your life easier. Just basically prepare yourself like a perspective grid. It will make everything much, much easier. Even if it's not like the most accurate perspective grid as it is in here, it will give you a decent idea on what things are going to look like in a space. And also remember, like stuff like this, there's always like a place for a small inaccuracies, to be a little bit inaccurate. So I also won't care about stuff like this that much. I only need to increase the area a bit more for a drawing, so it should be a bit easier. And also the lines are not vertical because we are looking slightly from the top, and if we are looking slightly from the top at something, the vertical lines basically like tilt outside a bit. So yeah, this is pretty much all of the perspective that I will be doing. And if you want to just stretch it, you can just do something like this, and more or less it should be fine. So reduce the opacity of this guy. And let me figure out the pose first, because this guy is like a monster that is really easily getting afraid. So if you kill something like near it, it will most likely like run away. So I was kind of thinking about some sort of like a really casual type of a pose where he is like just standing and maybe holding a shield like this. So I wanted something a bit awkward because this monster, as I said, are really weak. So I thought maybe just presenting them in like an odd way will help to show their character. But I guess I will need to explore the idea first. So maybe something like this. Because since they are also not really like strong, I can imagine, for example, the weapon being a bit heavy for them. So maybe they should like stand from the side. Have like a shield. Or something like this. And in those small effort sketches, it's always a good idea to keep things extremely loose. So in here I don't really care about perspective whatsoever. I just want to just explore the thing. So when I decide on a certain pose, only then I will try to like match it to the perspective that I have. So later I will think about it. So maybe something like looking really brave, that it is like scratching and screaming. These are basically the guys that scream Rakanishu and everything in Diablo 2. I don't think in Diablo 1 they actually scream Rakanishu, but I feel like this semi like courageous pose kind of fits to them because they are always like first to mass, then how to say it, circle you, to get around you. I don't remember the expression, but maybe something like this will be nice when they are like screaming, or maybe showing proudly their chest. So I guess I will spend like, I don't know, maybe 5 more minutes on the sketches, and then I will decide on something because I don't want to like spend too much on those. It won't serve any purpose whatsoever. So I don't like this one. So this is also a nice thing if you don't know how to approach your pieces, to simply give yourself like a time limit, so you don't have to like spend hours and hours exploring everything. And keeping a pose somewhat interesting is usually a bit... I kind of like this one. He is like tilted to the front. So kind of like he is looking for a fight. I'm not sure about the frontal pose that much. Maybe I will try to like move him a bit more to the side and make him look left. And then this arm will be more like this, and we could see a little bit more of a shield. So we still will be able to see the fact that he's kind of like hiding behind the shield and he's like ready. So it kind of like he's searching for something. This walking pose definitely will be a bit harder. Something like this I feel is fine. Yeah, I feel like this pose is relatively nice. It allows me to show the character of this guy a bit. Maybe the arm should go a little bit more to the side, maybe a bit closer to the body, so he's like constantly trying to protect himself. So he is kind of brave, but not really. And this leg should be smaller in the back. Kind of peeking. This looks a bit awkward, I feel. Maybe he should not be like tilting that much. Yeah, but something like this I feel is relatively fine. Also, there's a really cool page that is called Mixamo. I was talking about it like previously. So let me just quickly take a screenshot and show it to you. Because in Mixamo you can actually like take a ready-made monster and like not pose it, but take an animation for it, and it will make the entire thing much easier. Because if there is like one thing that I highly recommend usually, it's using references. And if you are using references, you are making life much easier for yourself. So let me just copy paste it and put it in here. So basically this is what Mixamo looks like. In here you can like choose the character, and then you can choose the animation for it. So let me choose something that is relatively similar. Use this character, and I will go to animations, and I will simply I will choose like combat and adventure, so I can see maybe there's like an animation. Let me also show you this part. Screenshot was not made. Okay. So it is loading the model still, but in here there are like tons of different animations. So I can see, I can like write a sword. So I'm looking for something with a sword. And I can see not combat, not adventure. There's a walk. Actually, there's a walk with a shield, so it's relatively nice. It is loading quite a long time. Well, there are like a lot of frames. Something like this will do. So let me show the reference to you. And this is basically like a reference. So it's not ideal, but it like gives the idea of the movement and everything. And it also has relatively cool light and shadow, so you can always use stuff like this. It might be will help. And in my case in here, there simply will be like a shield, and in here there will be like a sword. So this arm will be positioned slightly different, but I don't really mind it that much. So I can keep like this sketch, and of course I will later adjust it to my needs, so it is like completely fine. And the entire perspective will be like this then. Now I only see the entire thing could get like a small tilt, a little bit more like this. And the top part will be a bit more like this. So yeah, now what I want to make is I want to like establish the main pose in the box. So basically the idea with the box is if I know exactly what is where in the perspective, then the entire drawing is much easier because I don't really need to think about the geometry and everything. Because for example, right now I'm just sketching an ugly cylinder that is slightly like tilted. I can draw the spine of this fella, and at the same time I kind of need to like decide on his body type. This guy is quite like skinny. I think I want to like retain this feature, so mine won't be like really fat. Maybe I will kind of make him like a skinny fat type of a dude, so he won't have like really developed chest and everything. He will be on the like skinnier side of things, but I also don't want him to be like extremely skinny, so I don't want him to be like starving skinny. And yeah, and basically something like this. Sometimes I have seen some people are also doing stuff like drawing the pose from, let's say, the side and from different views basically, so it kind of allows you to understand the geometry a bit better, so you can kind of like study the thing a bit more, and if you know what is placed where in the perspective, basically the entire thing is much easier to draw. I kind of like the fact that he's like, when he's walking, that the feet is like leaving the ground. Now I'm not sure if I want to pose him like in here. I think the decision of drawing him below the horizon line was not a good one. I think he should be slightly above the horizon line, so we could kind of like see him from maybe from below. So maybe his shoulders should be like in here and the face should go to the left. I think it will allow us to better understand what is going on with this fella. And also this is one of the things why using actually a 3D is a cool thing, because in 3D you can really easily decide on what and how your character should be shown. So if I were to like pose this fella in 3D, then I could really easily like model him, I could pose him accordingly. But what I'm doing now is just doing like an ugly sketch, so I don't want to like really focus that much on the nice lines. I just want to get the pose somewhat right, and I'm just scribbling in a sense. And for this guy, I kind of want him to have some sort of a like belt with a fur or whatever. I kind of want just like him not to be naked, because I feel those demons can benefit from it, from like not being naked, since they are like relatively there are like groups of them, tribes I could say, I think, of them. I feel like if you are like a tribal type of a monster, then you are wearing like a lot of weird stuff on you. So looking like there, or like I have tons of the small flies around me. It's extremely annoying. I want him to look to the left. So kinda he's like pointing this direction. This direction. If there was a mouth. If there was an arrow. Also, if anyone has any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask. I will gladly respond to all the questions that I find. I mean, to every question that I can respond to. So yeah. Also, I really like this pose with the arm, that it's doing like something like this instead of like going out. Usually a typical pose will go like this, which won't make a lot of sense, because if it's going like this, it's basically like he's opening the arm, and usually if we are going somewhere, we are like keeping arms kind of like together, and the arm will be like slightly rotated. So the weapon of this fella, also the entire arm should be a little bit more in the back. So from the side view, if this is like the body, the arm, I can imagine it's going kind of like this. So by making it go a little bit more in the back, I can show a bit more of a weapon actually, because I want him to have this some sort of a falchion or something like this. Slightly curved sword, because these guys are like having some sort of a like saber or falchion or however to call it in a game, but I feel just like slightly bent or uneven sword should be a bit better for these guys. And with stuff like this, I also don't really, what I'm kind of going for is to not make his anatomy like really perfect. I don't want him to have like a nicely chiseled body with everything being extremely even. I kind of want him to be a little bit clunky. So let's say like this arm will be a bit higher, the second one will be a bit lower, so he's kind of on the uneven side of things. So for example, he is holding the shield that is relatively heavy for him for a really long period of time, and naturally like his shoulder dropped down a bit more, and for example this side is a bit more developed because he is like swinging with it, so maybe the shoulder muscle is just slightly bigger. So there are like different anatomical traits for them. And I can imagine them having like a small gut, so there's not like they are starving. They usually like eat a lot of corpses and everything, so I can imagine him having a small belly. And if he is having a small belly, then it means the rest will be slightly covered in fat also. So yeah, this is like the ugly demon. And as I said, I like this type of a face, so I feel I should like retain some of the features of that face. So it could be like a bit more roundy. I also like the idea of the neck being kind of like baggy, so he does not have like a really nicely chiseled jaw line, but he has this kind of like ugly face to him. For the nose, I kind of like the yeah, the shortcut works. Now he looks like he is high. I don't like the face at the moment. They kind of want him to look stupid, like to have this like dumb type of expression on his face. So he could have like this really wide and flat nose type of a thing. Like really round features on his face. Kinda a way to show that the monster is a bit like smaller. For example, some features can be a bit bigger. So for example, eyes and teeth and everything can be a little bit exaggerated. So the entire like face will appear as bigger. Actually, like back in the day, when I was still freelancing, I did a design of a monster that is slightly similar to those, like a blue demon type of a fella. And yeah, They were kind of like inspired by those guys. It kind of basically is like a goblin type of a thing, like a fallen one. This is like a demon, but I feel this should be like the goblins are like relatively similar to them, to those. Also making the eyes a bit wider is an idea to make him look like stupid. Like uneven eyes. One is like bigger and one is smaller. Kinda contributes to the feeling of him being relatively like dumb. Or at least on the dumber side of being a monster. Like this ugly ass nose. And do I want him to have any type of horns? Since this is like a demon, he could have some horns. I want this leg to go a little bit more to the side. So there it is. And also stuff like feet can be like much bigger because feet are usually relatively long. If you were to like measure your feet, most likely it will be from like the end of an elbow to your wrist. It's kind of funny that the feet are that big. It usually do not occur to us that much, like how big feet are. But if you just want to try, just try to measure it like this way, and you will see that they are actually relatively big. And I want the legs to be a bit shorter, so I'm not really holding to the perspective grid that I made, but well, it's just to help me get the stuff in the beginning. Later I can like slightly adjust it. I kinda want the body to be a bit narrower. Yeah, one horn can go like this, and he can have like this long horns, like long hair, like strands of hair around him. So he will be like kind of like balding, but not really. And also for the Headhunter, for these references, I really like them because the armors in this movie, the Headhunter, are really cool. So for example, you can see a lot of different like leather and everything, like straps around this guy. Maybe it does not make like tons of sense, but I like how it looks. So I think I will try to like incorporate some of those into the design. So like for example, wrist straps and knee wraps, or like some belts and everything. If I were a demon of this type, definitely I would wear some sort of a necklace with like bones, especially since this guy is called the Carver, so I can imagine he likes carving stuff. So maybe like even his buckler has some sort of a like carved sticks attached to it. So I kind of also want to make the shield look like it's made out of trash, because like this fella is definitely collecting a lot of trash. And I kind of wanted to like have some elements that are protruding from it. So like he decided to reinforce the shield with like a leather strap or like whatever. He basically like covered it in trash. And maybe he has some wraps on the legs, because like walking barefoot in a dungeons can end up with some nasty infections. So maybe, just maybe they decided to like rub themselves with something. Also, if you are a demon and you are a small one, most likely you will have like 3 fingers, because you don't have like the mental capability to use more, like to use enough processing power in your brain to utilize more than 3 fingers. So you only have 3 fingers because like 5 will be too much for this demon to actually be able to manage. Do I like the ears? I'm not sure about if I prefer the big ears or no ears at all. like a sad ears. I kind of like the sad ears, like smaller sad ears, because they make this type of a shape with the horns, which looks kind of cool. So you get like this type of a silhouette for a head, which I guess looks nice. Maybe some like gut type of a thing. And I kind of wonder if I want to really clean this drawing up. I guess I will clean it a bit. And now the question, do I do this on the same layer or on the separate layer? Because usually you can do this like in two different ways. One is I could just zoom in, erase, and just clean it up, or I can just like reduce the opacity, like, I don't know, 20% maybe, something barely visible, alongside with the perspective grid. Because I do want to have those on the same layer, and then I can like refine everything on top of it. I guess I will go this way. And on this layer I will like simply like draw this fella and refine it as needed. And again, I don't want him to appear like really intelligent, so maybe even they have like some, I don't know, genetical problems, for example, as pugs have, and his eyes are like popping out of a skull. It could be like a neat trait for them to have. And since I want them to be on the dumber side, the eyes should not really like follow the same direction. They just like look at stuff. They can look on the same direction twice. And what is kind of also a cool thing is, for example, I could give them like the goat eyes. Because usually if you are like not a predator type of an animal, so for example a goat basically has those type of an eyes, because it allows them to see really wide, like in a horizontal layer, so they don't really see what's above them or below them. They always tend to look at things from the side, so they really watch out for predators and everything around them. So maybe I will see. I kind of like those goat eyes, but I also like those eyes. I will see what I prefer. For the teeth, definitely uneven. They could lost a lot of teeth while fighting in a tribe, or they maybe just have bad teeth while being born or created, or however they spawn. For tribal monsters, I can imagine they are like actually breeding, and since these are like the lowest tier type of a monsters, I can imagine they like breed quite a lot. And also they have this really cool trait. It was always annoying for me when I was playing. So when you kill one of them, they basically flee because they are terrified that you will kill all of them. And when they like regain the bravery, then they start attacking again. They are like typical swarm type of a monster. They will swarm the shit out of you. Even when they swarm you, they won't really like be that dangerous. So this is kind of like the dumb monster. Also in Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, they made them more demonic, so they actually look kind of like dangerous. So let me search for the Fallen One. Fallen One Diablo 3. And I really like the design of them. In Diablo 3 they looked really cool. But so let's say like this. Can I copy this? No, of course not. Let me just... And this is basically the Fallen One from Diablo 3, but I feel those are a little bit too powerful. Like, I don't want to fight something with biceps this big and with like ripped chest and everything. I will feel this will wreck me, even if I am a powerful demon. And for example, in this one, I guess this is Heroes of the Storm model. I don't know, I'm not sure. This one looks a bit cooler. It's a little bit more on the weaker side, and it's kind of dumber, and it also has this type of a like neck. But I still feel it looks a little bit too dangerous, I would say. I kind of want to give them like this dumb feeling to it, so most likely if you just go out and see them, you won't have many problems killing them. They are like not strong at all. And I will see how much can I like demonize them. And they could have like these huge heads, so maybe they have like there's this disease with the water retaining in a head. I feel the horns are a bit too thick, so maybe they just retain quite a lot of water in their heads, so it could make them look a little bit more silly. Kind of want to experiment with the horns a bit more, so it's not like a boring type of a horn that just grows with the typical shape. It's a little bit natural, I would say. So I feel something like this looks a bit more believable. They also could have something like like be full of bruises and maybe some sort of a tumors or stuff like this. Or maybe they are swollen all the time because other demons like kick them and push them away around because they like don't like them, they don't treat them with respect whatsoever. So maybe they are like, I feel removing the nose kind of contributes to them feeling a little bit more demonic. It's like the nose kind of makes them look too much like a goblin's. Lack of a nose actually makes them look more like a demon. Again, the nostrils also should not be even. So yeah. This monster looks extremely stupid. I kinda enjoy it. And also this is a nice part with drawing like ugly stuff, because in here I can basically do, yeah, like nobody likes them. And also what I was saying about drawing the ugly stuff is it's really hard to like actually make a lot of mistakes while drawing something that is like ugly in its core, because I can justify like uneven arms and head and whatever just basically by saying it's meant to be like ugly, so I can get away with quite a lot of stuff this way. I would say this is a bit on a lazy side of like doing a design or a drawing or a monster or whatever, but also since it is mostly done as a fun challenge, I don't want some of the monsters to be like extremely stressful for me. I will leave the stressful things for like the high tier monsters, or at least the stronger monsters. So this fella is going to be a bit easier. And also in here, this is where the reference comes comes in real handy, because now I can like plan the entire anatomy more or less. And as I said, I don't want the anatomy to be like extremely like ripped, but they could have like this kind of hanging type of a muscle, so they do have visible like strains of like the visible striations of muscle, but it won't make them like really buff, so they are like the muscles kind of look like they are not like entirely developed. So some of them will have some sort of strain, but it's because they are like malnutritioned, and the malnutrition kind of causes some deformities to appear. But yeah, this is basically like the idea for this guy. And the cool part with this drawing, it's a really neat reference actually, is you can like really clearly see different like groups of muscles, which is really neat. So for example, in here for the obliques, I can really clearly see what I am actually going for. There will be like a rope around them, and the serratus is really nicely visible. And also to contribute to the fact that they are like rather small, sometimes you can see like in a human like 4 muscles. So in here you will see like a lot of those muscles, but if I want to make him like feel a bit smaller, I will make only 2 serratus muscles visible. So this way I keep the kind of like the entire design is a little bit more cohesive, I believe it means that unified kinda. So they have like 3 fingers, 2 serratus muscles visible. Maybe like even the amount of like the chest muscle, like the stomach muscles should be like limited. So for example, you could see some sort of an like abdominal muscle type. They will actually have like the belly button. I do believe they would like reproduce in like in a normal type of a way. So for example, you could see like some abdominal muscles, but for example, it will be like a really uneven like 4-pack or something like this. Or also there will be some deformities with it. So maybe like one checker, I don't know, one square, one muscle will be like one muscle button will actually be like relatively big, and the others will be like smaller or really uneven. It can also have something to do with the fact that he is holding like a shield in one of the arms and not in the second. So he is kind of like naturally having everything a bit more uneven. But yeah. And I was kind of also thinking about rendering this guy a little bit more how even Mel Amundsen does his drawings, because I really like his style. I feel it's like a really nice looking type of a style that he has. So maybe I will kind of try to like render everything in this guy as he does, but to this I will need relatively nicely made line art, because usually his line arts are really nice. So we will see how this will go. At the moment I'm kind of trying to like establish some muscles, some geometry and everything. And after doing this I will see how much I can... Hello, me blurred. And after this I can see how much I can like clean it up, so it will just look a bit nicer and a bit cleaner. There's this really like cool looking tendon. I don't know if I can see it on myself, but basically if you like flex, there's like this tendon that is kind of like wrapping around the entire forearm. So in here there will be like a knuckle and a finger. And again, low, small demon only have like 2 fingers. I don't know where all these small flies come from. Like there were none of them like 2 hours ago, now there are like 5 of them flying. If there's like one thing that I don't like in summer, it's all the flies and bugs and everything. Shit's extremely annoying. Okay, so for the things that is on the shield, there will be some like metal spikes, like basically a piece of metal. The entire shield in here is clearly metal, like it's made out of metal, but if you're a demon, you don't get to use like a metallic type of a shield. You are using a cheap ass wooden shield with some like metal parts added to it. There will be like this dome that is kind of like beaten. And there are some planks in here. Hello. Yeah, the challenge evolved a bit. So instead of going for this kind of stylized type of a drawings, I decided to go a bit more with like a realistic type of an approach to it, since I just enjoy it more. I thought I will enjoy those comics type of a things more, but I don't. I just like approaching things in a bit more realistic type of a way. So yeah, but I hope you will enjoy it. So also feel free to join the challenge, feel free to draw alongside, feel free to mute me and just draw with like music on or something like this. This is also a cool idea how you could enjoy the stream. And also, if anyone is like wondering how you could draw a shield like relatively quickly and nicely and easy, the shield is basically like an ellipse. It's like a circle in a sense. So if you want to draw a shield but you are not sure how, what you basically need to do is to draw a square. And if you divide a square into 4 parts, it will basically allow you to draw the circle inside of it, like in 4 parts, more or less like this. Let's say this is like a nice circle. And then if you want to draw, for example, a shield, you simply need to like draw the square in a perspective, and then you will get the same like 4 reference points, and then you just basically draw the ellipse inside of it. So this is how you can draw a shield really nicely. And just remember, if you are drawing freehand, so for example like this, well, like let's make it a bit nicer, like this is like a long axis. Short axis will always be like 90 degrees to the long axis, short axis, and this is a direction of everything. So if there was a cylinder sticking out of it, it will go like this. So yeah, it will be just a bit easier for you to draw something like this. It should go a bit more like in here. The clavicular bone, a bit of a bicep, and this guy had like this type of a pose for his arm, which I kind of like. So he has like his arm like opened, which fits to the thing that I want to make, which is relatively okay-ish. And I hate those things with subscribe and everything, because now this scared the shit out of me. So I have the widgets hidden, so they should be much quieter. Shit, this is scary. I jumped because it scared me. I was not expecting a thing to appear whatsoever. So if anyone heard Descartes Kane screaming, "Hello, my friend, stay a while and listen," this was the Streamlab widget. I forgot about it. I muted the widgets so they are like not extremely like loud as they appeared a second ago. But yeah. And the leg, some tendons, calf, the forgotten muscle, some like wraps, a heel, And usually when I draw a monster that has like 3 fingers on a foot, I much more prefer the middle finger to be the middle finger, let's say the middle finger to be the longest one. I don't know why, it just feels a bit more natural for me, since I kind of feel this will like benefit the stability of the entire leg, but it might be just me. I just prefer to do it this way. The heel should be a bit lower and a bit more to the back. In a perfect scenario, I would like construct every single thing. So, for example, I would keep the anatomy and the geometry really clean and everything. But again, I need to kill those flies. I managed to not kill one. I got one. But since this is a relatively low effort drawing, I won't do it. Kind of want the mouth to be a bit more open. No one kind of look at it. This kind of look like a bull too much with those horns, so I don't really like it that much. So let me remove them even from the sketch, so they won't affect the drawing that much. And even though I said I want the eyes to be on the dumber side, I don't really like them when looking at them. So maybe something at least something like this. Kinda like blazed. Let me search for the fearful eyes. How the eyes that are afraid look like. Kinda like this. I think I will go with this expression, so he won't look like he is drunk. Kinda like the idea that he's like that he will look terrified. So yeah, kinda like on this like cute type of a fantasy setting with this type of an emotion, so it's not like a powerful, so it's not like a powerful demon, kinda looking more like a joke. They kinda like the fact that he has this terrified expression. And maybe the horns going from the front. This. Maybe they do actually have horns like this, and maybe one will be like broken. Actually, giving one like him a broken horn will kinda give him a lot of like a lot of character. I feel it will kind of make him a little bit more unique in a sense. So I feel like the horns should be unified somehow. Maybe just going the other direction. So instead of like making his head big, maybe I will make his head like really small or like really flat. So this will kind of show that he like has a relatively small brain. But this again makes him look more like a goblin. So I don't think this is like a good idea. Or maybe a bit more pointy head. If Pointy head is kind of funny. Let me see what will happen if I like reduce the size of the eyes. Because the theory of making stuff look small is one thing, but the practice is a different thing. I kinda like him with the smaller eyes. This will be like stupid small in real life, but I kinda do like this. And the second need a quad, this long boy muscle, a side. And if I were this type of a demon, definitely I would have like the second type of a belt or strap or whatever with some sort of like a dagger next to like next to the belt. So maybe something like this would be a thing. A really cool foreshortened like cuff. Usually drawing foreshortened stuff is like a terror, but this type of a thing looks relatively neat. And here is a reference for a foot. So it's like completely elevated. I think something like this looks relatively okay-ish. Squad will go a bit more here. It's kind of the moment of like taking the feet off the ground. It's like when this toe will be like still on the ground and the middle one will be rising. Something like this I feel looks relatively okay. And then the entire leg could go a little bit more to the back by making it smaller, and this entire leg could go a little bit more to the front. So there actually will be some distortion made by a lens, by the perspective. The entire guy should be like tilted a bit more forward. And yeah, for the sword, kinda imagine this guy's having like basically like a piece of metal that is sharpened. There's also one variation with this guy that he's holding a spear, but I fear the sword one is slightly more interesting. There's some sort of like a guard, I don't know how it's called. Guard type of a thing on a sword. This is relatively huge slab of metal. Yeah, there's the back and the neck. So in here there's also this cool part that is basically like almost maybe not empty, but you can like draw a triangle in here and basically it will like show the geometry really nicely. And also there's this like small like not break but small section between the muscles. So basically in here you can like even feel it if you like just take a finger and stick it between like the clavicular bone and the chest. You can feel there's a little bit of space in there. And deltoid kind of like mixing with the of the upper chest and some nips. So this demon has nipples. Okay, to make him a little bit more tribal, what I would do, separate the forehead a bit more. If this is a carver, he actually could have some like carvings on his face. So basically, maybe like tribal type of a carvings around his body. It will be cool. And I also want to retain the ugly, like greasy hair. Oh, and maybe this ugly ass bone. Basically what I have on my head like right now. And there will be like a bone sticking through it. It does look a bit tribal and a bit stupid. I like it. What else could he have? Like a wrap around the thigh. Like a wrap around the thigh. I'm kind of thinking where I could put like a skull. Like where the skull would fit. Kind of feel like this guy would like to wear a skull type of a prop on himself. So it could also nicely show the size of this fella. So like the human skull will last something like this. It will be like quite huge. Maybe in here? So he has like a shield with a skull? Nah. It will actually require him to kill a human, and this is like a task that most likely this guy is not able to like make. Most likely he will get obliterated by vast majority of humans out there. And did the Photoshop? Yeah, it managed to froze. So let me unfreeze it. I need to close that one, open it once again. And yeah, from the other news, for example, today I have played Hunt Showdown for like the first time in ages, as far as I know. I don't remember the last time that I have played Hunt. So really cool game. If you don't know it, definitely go check it out. It has extremely cool vibe and a really nice graphics, and the gameplay is really cool. Hunt is a nice game. Go play it. Okay, now I need to like lock those, move this guy, make him bigger so the rendering is a bit easier. And now I will start blocking out the shapes. Hello, Roman. So basically what I want to make, I want to draw a part of the ground. So I will have the general idea on how the ground looks like. This is not this layer, this is this layer. So for the ground, I kinda want him to walk in some like ruins or whatever. So like, thanks a lot. So I want him to some bones and shit. So he is not like actually walking in the dungeon, but he could have be doing just that. I kind of like the idea of him like wandering in here, but I feel, yeah, just rocks and stones will be just fine. And some mountains behind him, kind of like in the reference. If I'm like using the reference, I might as well do a really similar background. It kind of looks a little bit more like it's some sort of a Heroes of Might and Magic type of a creature. Like the goblin-like. I don't feel I nailed the demon feeling of it that much, but well, happens. This one will be a bit more like this. So let me analyze the colors. I think I will be using the top one or the bottom one. I will be using the mix between the top one and the bottom one. So at first let me block out the shapes. So this guy is basically like deep blue, really deep blue. So I will go with something that is like basically blue for blocking out the shape. And this is a kind of hard color to like render because I don't really see that many things that are like purely blue. It's like not the most popular color in nature. A lot of lizards and stuff like this are blue, but they are also like really shiny. And I kind of want the skin to be more like matte or something like this. Also, while blocking the shape, I can turn on the color dynamics, so the hue, saturation, and brightness will change. So this way, when I'm drawing, as you can see, the circle is like leaving the colorful tray, so it will make the rendering later a bit more interesting, because actually some of those like color changes will affect how the layers and the colors will affect those later. So I feel these are good things to have in a design, like some color variety would be much easier. I was also thinking maybe I should actually do this guy in black and white first and then color him, because this is like the approach that I'm more familiar with. Instead of like going pure color, I will do just this. So I will firstly render him in black and white, so I don't have to like really think about all the values and everything. And after, like, I mean, I don't have to think about the colors, and then if I nail down the values, then I will like colorize it, because this way I will actually make it a bit easier to make some cool color type of things. It might not be the most time efficient type of a work, like way of working, because instead of like working purely with color first, I do have to take some like extra steps before like finishing a painting, but I don't really care that much. Whatever works, like stick to it. Also, I wonder how the length of a weapon affects the like your height. So is there like a limit of a length that you should use for a weapon if you are given, for example, like 120 centimeters or something along those lines? So what would happen if you would use the weapon that is way too long for you? Whoop, boop, boop. Also, the other thing that I could do while rendering this fella is to, at this moment, kind of to specify the value groups. So, for example, the body will be a bit darker because like the blue color is relatively dark when it's like in black and white mode. Even if you can see like the Aladdin, for example, even the background is like really dark, the skin is relatively brighter, it's still in a really dark values. And in here, okay, it's not that visible, but basically what I would need to do with this reference to make it a bit more accurate to what I have is to select this guy and the blues, and they should be a bit more saturated and much darker. And why the lightness basically desaturates it. Okay, this is weird. The lightness, instead of like making it like darker, basically desaturates it. This does not make any sense whatsoever. This is weird. Maybe levels, blue. Oh no, okay, the levels are not a good way to do it. And so basically it will be more like this, I feel, in terms of like darkness, but without affecting the rest of the skin. This actually would be a really cool reference for the dark one, because the dark one is basically having this color Yeah, so basically it will be like more contrasty and just darker, and this will get more saturated. So I can imagine like this is the natural hue of this fella. As you can see in dark and white, it's like much darker than the environment. So like, yeah. Yeah, and also keeping the value groups separated is a nice way to have. This way you can also like kind of work on a graphic design of a monster, because you can see how the graphic shapes basically read, since the human eye perceive everything through the not outline but the shape. It's still not the right word. We tend to identify the value groups really easily, and if the value groups are readable for us, then the entire thing is much easier to read. Also, while working on this thing, I can like wrap the things around, as you can see, so the texture, like the shape of the brush, will actually show the geometry a bit better. This is of course not a perfect thing, but something like this will look flat, something like this will actually show a bit of a geometry that is happening in here. So I can include it in here. The background I won't do in values, the background I will do in color right away. So this way it will be just easier for me to later like lit this guy properly with everything. And also there's this really cool tutorial done by Sam Smith, I believe. I was talking about it several times in the videos already on Domestika. It shows a really nice and easy to follow way to colorize your paintings by using basically multiply and screen layers. So yeah, definitely a thing worth checking out. And bun, like some greasy hair around it. I kind of feel like this demon has a bit too much of a personality to it. It does not feel like Diablo monster at all, but it does feel a bit more fantasy type of a thing. I actually really like this setting. Let me check the colors. Basically, this is like a desaturated green. I really like it. I will use it. This type of a hue. I actually have seen quite a lot of paintings with like hues like this. Color dynamics. So color dynamics are always great things, because you can see when I like lay it on the ground, it introduces fuckload of different colors. And now if I like choose something that is slightly more like yellowish, it will allow me to pick, it basically will make the entire brush go a little bit more with this like yellowish hue. And if I go more with it, then it will allow me to naturally like create a lot of different like stuff with it. So it will look a bit more natural. So let me make some like rock formations and everything. Basically, I kind of want this guy to go around, like in this like rocky landscape type of a thing. So the rocks will obviously get smaller as he like goes, but I kind of want him to have this environment context to him. Maybe I will try to go a bit more with like the overcast type of a scenario, because I do like the overcast type of a lighting really much. I always enjoyed it a lot, so I will try going with it. So basically, instead of like grabbing the blue of the sky, I will basically grab the colors of the clouds. So this will be like the foggy type of a day, type of a scenario. And I need the references to be on top of everything. And I can remove this guy, I can remove this guy. And also if you have fog and anything, what is really like happening, the further away you get, the more of the color of the air the things will get. So if something is like green, so let's say the mountain in the background has this color, but it's behind the layer of fog that basically like then it should be a bit darker because it's in the background. Yeah, this course is really great. I wrote to him that I do really enjoy what he did there, and I would say I wish I have knew about this course like several years ago. It will make stuff much easier along the way. Actually, I will go a little bit more with like this blue hue. I'm not entirely sure on how it should look like, so. And the blue hue looks really nice. And again, later I can like sculpt in it. Also a good way is to just like draw a mountain, like paint a mountain kind of like with all the details that it has, and later just kind of hide it behind the fog. So this way it actually would retain a lot of its details. Yeah, so basically I'm trying to add all those like plants and everything that you can see in there. Maybe some like colors to happen in there. And this is a bit tricky. I'm not sure how the color will behave of something like this behind like behind it. So I will just grab a bit of greens from here. And I will just try to match it. And since this is like a background type of a thing, I do feel later I will like blur it, because why not? And that using a heavy textured brushes for a background is completely fine. So for example, brush like this naturally creates something that looks more or less like a forest or whatever. Or like small plants. Maybe like a road is going in here. Or maybe only the road is a bit brighter. Hello, Boss GFX. Long time no see. Yes, I will do stuff like this. I will actually have to like do a bit of a research on how the stuff like this yellow, because in here you can see the mountain in the background is like blue, but I'm not sure how this like white type of a background will look like behind stuff like this. I can always like hide everything behind a fog. This will be like the easiest way to do stuff, but also like the laziest one. Do I really care that much? Not caring about stuff like this is both a good thing and a bad thing. So I think I will just put some like concept art fog all over it. And yeah, this is good. And also now, because the light basically is like really scattered and really soft, if you take, as you can see, the color of the light source, so it's basically like the color of a sky. Maybe if I choose the darker one, now I can really easily add a layer with a multiply mode on it. And since the light is like overcast, the shadow will be like basically coming like from the below of everything. And again, I really do enjoy having this overcast type of a shadow. So in here it's like this, and because there's also like light reflecting from the ground, I can pick this color and slightly lit it from the below, also with the multiply layer. This is basically what this course I was talking about teaches. So basically just take this, take the reflected light and slightly paint on like underneath it. So this will show you how the colors will like mix together. And this is a really cool trick, because now, for example, you can see I can really easily add all the cool shadows and everything for the rocks. And yeah, stuff like this. Maybe the entire thing should be a bit more in a shadow. So it will go like this, and later I can just like overpaint on it, so it would be nice. And if I will feel the color is a bit too much, I can like always desaturate it slightly, so it's not that hard. And then I can also select the light source and just use a screen layer on top of it, so it's slightly weaker. And with the screen layer on top, it basically gives me a relatively nice idea on how the things in a light will behave, that they will be slightly like brighter. And if the base, if in its entirety is a bit too bright, I can always go here, make it a bit darker, and this is like fine to a degree. So in here I imagine the leather straps to be darker, so I will select and make them like darker. The wooden shield should actually be relatively similar to the blue hue, I believe. Maybe slightly darker or maybe slightly brighter, because if this is like a light a wood that has been sitting on a light for a really long period of time, maybe it got a bit paler, darker. Yeah, I will go with the paler hue. Those leather straps darker. The entire thing in here should be darker, I feel. The weapon, I need to uncheck those. Those should be darker. Hair, definitely darker. And the sticks could be brighter, so the sticks can basically later become bones. Bones are relatively light. So yeah, a blade, I have no idea. The blade I can imagine to also be like darker. I'm glad you do. Yeah, this is by any means, the background is not perfect whatsoever. Most likely later I will just kind of like color pick from this one, but this one kind of has like a really strong shadow from the top. There is a really cool painting that I actually might use as a reference. I found it on our station like today, I believe. And it has really similar light setup, so let me find it. Likes, this should be like the most recent like. And don't tell me I did not like the painting. Oh no. Oh no. Wait. Oh, this one is also really cool. Artstream. Yeah, it's Panther and a Warrior by Maxi Hoy. Napisz grafik jako desktop. Is this painting, and I really like this type of a render. It really speaks to me. Like, let me write the name of the artist. Maxi Hoy. It's basically like this. Yeah, and how he actually did some designs for Spellforce 3. This is how I found him. But this painting is so nice. Like, I really do enjoy this like overcast shadow with like everything so soft and everything like this just basically being nicely rendered. I would guess I will just keep it. I think I will also write it a bit nicer. Maxi Hoy. So go follow him because this artwork is truly a killer. I really do like it. It kind of reminds me in a way that a lot of like Asian artists are rendering their paintings. I might actually like go a bit more with what he has, his painting. Something like this. I do like it. A slightly darker thing for the light. So I do feel this looks like really, really neat. And since in here I just want to like learn how to paint stuff, I might as well like study him. So for the overcast shadow, let me start with the shadows actually. So the shadows will basically be like bluish. No, the shadow. Yes, first I need to add colors to it. So because I want this guy to be blue. So this is like the general color of him. Let's see if any type of a blending mode does it justice. No. Let's see if bringing the opacity, increase it brighter. Yeah, I like this like deeper blue a bit more. So everything has this like blue hue to it. The same layer, I will take like the saturated red because I want the wood to be like a bit more like red or a bit more paler. So the wooden part, actually the entire shield and the leather straps and everything, they can be a bit paler. The face, let me go with the current layer because in here I also want to kinda draw the things. On the face I want the eye sockets to be slightly darker, like a lot darker. So the local color of an eye socket is just darker and the entire like surrounding of a face is a bit darker. I kind of wish this monster is white now because like white color will look really neat with this fella, kind of like this guy. I really like this white skin, but I want this to happen. So dark eye sockets and darker surrounding. Honestly, I don't think there is like a name to it. If I were to call it anyhow, it's kind of like working like a 3D engine in a sense because I try to keep everything like a bit more separate. So I'm kind of trying to paint in passes instead of like just going with it and just painting everything as a lot of people do. I kind of try to keep everything on the layers. So let me sort for the image render passes. I'm also kind of hungry. So for example, in here, copy Grafika, yeah. So this is basically how 3D engine works. You have like a background, a depth mask, a main light, no shadows, a flat color. Basically now I'm doing a flat color. Then I want to make a shadow on a multiply, then ambient occlusion on a multiply, then rim light if I would add any on linear dodge, side light on linear dodge, so basically like to add some sort of a like reflected light or whatever, speculars, and on soft light and subsurface scattering, and the gloss. So this is kind of like working as like a 3D engine. And it is a really nice way of working because it allows you to break more complex topics into really much easier to understand chunks, I would say. And by making something a bit easier, you basically like allow yourself to focus a bit more on everything that you are doing. So for example, in here now I only need to care about one thing. I don't really need to care about 10 things at the same time, which is good, which is nice, because if I don't have to think about 10 things, I can focus on like local colors and everything. So I can like decide that the nose might be a bit more red, or that the face might be red, or that the eye sockets are like red. So yeah, this is basically what I'm doing. And I want the eyes to be like this yellow hue, because the monster in the original, wherever I have the layer with it, yeah. Did I remove it already? Did I seriously remove the mine reference? Okay, the monster has like yellow eyes. Yeah, so I feel this is like a really nice way of working, because I can basically adjust like a shitload of things in here. So even by making like this stuff, I can like make it a bit brighter so I can see stuff better. And now I can like add a multiply layer to it. And because the main source light is blue, I take this color, I put it on multiply. And since this is like the top light, basically the rendering is much easier, because basically everything that is in the top will cast a shadow. So only like the bottom parts of the geometry will cast shadow, which really makes the entire like rendering phase much easier, because it's relatively easy to understand what is lit and what is not lit. For example, the head would cast a general shadow on everything. The bottom part of the deltoids, hello Naimul. Bottom part of the deltoids will be in the shadow, the entire armpits will be in the shadow. Nice, all is fine and cool. Today I was working for like, I don't know, 4 hours, and I am now waiting for feedback on everything, so I had a little bit more time to like play some games and everything, to like study some things also, and also, yeah, just enjoying myself and doing a redesign of a Carver, but I have no idea where I left the layer with it, so I don't know if I removed it or if I hid it somewhere. Maybe I will find it. I guess I just removed it, so let me grab it really quickly. And let me go for a second to grab something. Yeah, I needed to grab something to eat. Yeah, so yeah, have a nice day. What? So the legs are in the shadow, the bottom part are in the shadow. Shield actually will be in the light, but this part will be in the shadow. Yeah, actually next time, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday, on Wednesday, we can do a stream together, so we could like share screens on the sides, and we will see how much it will obliterate me while drawing the same thing. It will be fun to get obliterated again. And also what I really like in this painting is not everything is visible. Like there are no really dark parts even in the shadows. You can see almost everything. I kind of feel like adjusting my light now, so that the background is more saturated. There's like less, so the light source will be like whiter. The basic idea is if you are making the background much brighter, then you will be able to see. Yeah. The basic, of course. You still have tons and tons of more experience than I do. But the idea is if you are making like the background brighter, so you are increasing the exposure, you will see more details in the shadows, but less detail in light. So this is why, for example, the entire background can be like almost white, as Maxi Hoy did. And I really dig actually this as a reference. This is like a really cool reference. I will study this. I like this type of a shadow. And now when I like have some like basic shadows in here, I can also do stuff like I can grab the color from the ground and I can slightly like add it to the mix in here. So there will be like hints of like reflected light from the ground, but only hints. This is like still really like delicate type of a thing to be seen. And now on the top part, I will simply use screen. So, but I will need to reduce the fill of it, not the fill, the opacity, I guess. So like the white light source will basically hit the entire character from the top. And I have not a slightest clue on how the blue hue will look like in like real life. I do believe the blues will be much more visible, so I don't think the screen actually does a lot of justice. Maybe overlay first should be applied to it, and maybe then a bit of a screen. We'll see. So overlay looks relatively okay-ish. Current layer, this leg will be more in the shadow. Maybe at top only will be slightly in the light and a bit of a leg. Definitely the top part of this will be. Yeah, I feel the screen is still working better, but it needs to be like really delicate. Cheating. That depends on the means on cheating, because I would say like using references is cheating in a sense, because like you are making the entire things easier, and if you are like doing anything and you make it easier, in a sense this is cheating. But usually, since this is not something that I am okay, I do care about this painting because I make it and I like it and I want to make it as good as possible, but I also don't want to reinvent the wheel. So for example, if I know certain artist did something that I want to achieve in a way that I feel it looks okay, I will simply use it as a reference because I know that they achieved the effect that I was going for. So for example, if I was going to paint like a girl with like a barbarian type of a girl with like a panther, and I will just copy this painting, then this is not okay. But in here, I'm just trying to see how they rendered all the forms and basically how they treated them. So it allows me to understand what I am going for a bit better. And yeah, so I'm all for using references because I just feel using references is crucial if you want to improve quickly. Because if I know what I am going for, then the entire thing will simply be easier. I'm glad you find it fun. I can imagine. Actually, I was talking today with a friend of mine, and we agreed on the fact that drawing streams are not the most like interesting things to watch, because you are basically like not much is happening for many hours. Like a lot of stuff is just like similar, so there's not much cool things happening per se. As for example, with games, there's usually a lot of going on in the games, so you can like make them a little bit more engaging. With painting and drawing, it's usually kind of boring in a sense. So yeah, let me paint some texture on the ground. Brush settings, color dynamics, and again, low quality brush. Made a bit smaller. Whoops. Kind of like duplicated 4 times. And like erased, repainted where it was like touching. And now I can like place it on the ground, distort it, perspective. And because I forgot to change this to a smart object, I need to redo this. And because I do know where my horizon line is, I can like adjust this fella to the perspective that I do have in a painting. So if I go to the to transform it, and if I will like make it longer and the line will like cross on a horizon line, then I know the perspective is like nicely placed. So this one slightly higher, boom, it crosses with the horizon line. So this is how this texture should look like. And now depending on the width of the lens, the texture will like be much flatter or much longer. So a dynamic shot will have like a long texture, a long lens will have like this type of a texture. I will have like something in between. I'm basically looking at the feed and trying to like see what feels okay with it. And I can turn off reduce the like 15%. And to add a bit more depth to the texture, I can like flatten it out and now select it, warp it slightly, select a part of it, move it slightly down, so I will like naturally create some like levels to it, and it will just look slightly bit more interesting. And I can like always duplicate it in some places, and it will be like more or less fine. And also I can go with like overlay it, so this will naturally create some like interest on the ground. I can like multiply it. I guess normal looks relatively okay-ish. So yeah, this is like a no-brainer way to add ground texture. And again, because I do have a reference, I can again just take basically the same color. This is also a cool thing with the backgrounds. You can like take the same color and just make the color darker, slightly more saturated, because for like the small local shadows, as you can see in here, there are a lot of like reflected light stuff happening, so most likely the shadow will have like just this local color type of a thing. So now I'm kind of trying to like add some like cracks to it as kind of in the reference, but the color of my ground is slightly different, so I can paint on top of it, over it, and this will most likely make a relatively interesting looking ground. And yeah, the line art is cut to this guy. Yeah, I can turn off the perspective grid and I can slightly render the ground. And there are like no good or a bad way. You can like do it any way you feel like it, but I just feel like this method like really nicely works with pretty much everything. So maybe in here I will focus a bit more on a background first, and then I will try to like render the rest of the thing. And also to kind of push the perspective, you can do those like type of shapes that kind of guide the eye to the character and that are getting a bit more like flattened later. And most likely I will add maybe some like bones and shit in here, like a bone in here, like a rib. This could look nice. Yeah, but going back to this fella. Blue skin monster. Let's see what we find in here. So again, it's really hard to find any type of a reference of something that is blue in a daylight. Usually everything is really heavily stylized, which is not good. I could go with something like Navi movie, Navi Alien, because they are kind of like deep blue, but something like this. What? But nothing here. So this is like some reference for the colors, but again, it's not the same light setup, so I feel I will like have it, so it will kind of serve me as a reference. So I will keep it like this, and let me keep the line art a separate layer too. Let's make it red, and I guess I will just connect everything together. And on the ground, actually on a separate layer, I can like make a darker shadow to the character, so it looks like this. Yeah, I am, and yeah, nice. Then I have quite a lot of friends, so I have no idea what is your name, but cheers then. And also because I made the shadows softer and I increased the exposure in a light, it means that the shadows will also have some like visibility in them, so the shadows are not like entirely black. Yeah, this is this. And this guy, he should be much more saturated. But I want him to be a bit a different shade of a blue. Something like this looks kind of cool. This also looks cool with like this red type of a face. Also like this bony type of a color will look really cool. I kind of like these hues. They are like, oh, not this ones. Kinda, yeah, I like those hues, especially with those like really red eyes type of a things. I do feel it looks kind of okay. Let's see what the auto color means. Auto color actually makes it also really nice. It's not blue. Auto tone. It's not that blue. I would prefer it to be slightly more blue. So let me just grab a blue color and go over it and just, yeah, actually just going with blue over it kind of solved the problem. Nice. Oh, the more you know. Yeah, you can see this is how it was, this is how it is. Slightly less. And I feel like we still maintain this blue type of a hue to it. Like this deep blue type of a thing, but with some like interest in it. And now the only thing that I really need to remember is that the light is going from the front. And a cool thing that also I have learned recently is if I were to draw this, let me just move those. If I were to draw this guy from a side, so let's say like something like this, and we kind of like keep him like looking like a bean. So basically I'm doing the like really simplified ortho view of him. Something like this. With this like gut, because this is how I can kind of imagine him being, and this one leg is going to the front. And this is also a really easy way to like navigate in a space, and the second leg being like this. Oops. Like this, and the second arm kind of going like this, with the sword going like this, and a shield going like this. Since this is like a side view of this fella, and I know the light source is going like this, like from this direction, it basically means, let me just use the white color. This area is in the light, this area is in the light, this area is like in a light, this area is in the light, this area is in the shadow. So it basically allows me to really quickly understand what is in the shadow, what is in the halftone, and where the highlights will be. So this is like a relatively easy way to do this. And the shield should be a bit more like this. I can imagine the top of the shield being slightly brighter. So for example, this thing in here will be just darker, and there will be some like light reflecting from the ground. The top part of the leg will be in a shadow. The side will be in a shadow. This entire thing will be in a shadow. This thing will be in a shadow. Top of a gut will be in a light. So as you can see, this is like a relatively easy thing to navigate, even if this is like just a really shitty sketch. But it gives the general idea on what is where. So yeah, now I think it's just to render him nicely, I guess. Now this is like the no-brainer type of a part. So like 2 hours to go to like this point. Now like let's reduce the flow, let's reduce the opacity. And yeah, the tricky part is like this blue color, this blue hue of the skin. I'm not entirely sure how it should behave. I can only imagine like this will be like the standard type of a stuff, so like the deeper shadow will be, the deep shadow will be more saturated. I'm not sure about the brighter parts of the skin, how the Navi has it, how the color does. It basically like goes a little bit more to the cyan because of the color of the sky, and it just gets brighter. In my case, it won't get that much to the cyan, maybe slightly, and will just get brighter and desaturated. So I wonder where is like this, let's say, physical limit of the light. Like, yeah, this area will be like just brighter. So I think I will like render him for like, I don't know, 20 minutes. I will like try to make the face look at least decent. And I will continue on him like later, because like the entire eye will be in a shadow basically. because he has quite of a massive type of a this like ridge on his eyebrows. Nostrils will be relatively dark, and the mouth, this is the only thing that I need to change the color from this pinkish to like this red, the saturated dark. And again, a smart trick that you can like do to make sure that you will go through every single like part in your painting. Simply like connect the layer of with the line art with the painting itself. So now there's like, I just have to go over like everything. There's like no way I can skip on like, let's say rendering some parts, because there will be like lines left there, and I don't want it to be a case. I do want everything to be like nicely rendered, so I need to just paint over everything to make sure that the thing will be nice. At the moment I won't care about the shadow casted from the ban, because I don't want to like deal with it yet. I will just ignore it at the moment. I will only need to remember about the scars. This is also the reason why I took the line art to the separate layer. And I guess I will add the ambient occlusion pass in the end. So when I stop, like finish rendering everything nicely, then I will prepare like the ambient occlusion pass, and then I will like multiply it to add like this additional level of realism to it. Can imagine actually this part of the face being a bit more in the front. If I were like a demon like this, do I have like, maybe they should have like a bit more like a glowing type of an eyes, so they will keep like this demonic present at least a bit. Looks kind of stupid. I like it. And how did Max see? Yeah, really dark eyes, like this glow to them. So I could actually try doing similar thing. Like not the eye will be. Yeah, so like the colorful thing in your eye will be like brighter. It will glow. I think it looks okay. And later I will like multiply on top of it, so the skin actually will be that darker. Holy shit, the sounds are way too loud. Damn. This is actually terrifying. I need to figure out how to make it like much, I don't know, quieter. Filters. Gain is like minus 18. I guess I need to change it in a page. Shit's terrifying. And this will definitely keep me up if anyone like subscribed or whatever. Also, thanks for following. You gave me a small heart attack. Also, one of the tricks that I have seen a lot of, for example, Asian artists are doing is they tend to at first render everything at this kind of like a low poly model, which like makes sense. Thanks, Surface. I believe it's you who subscribed and you gave me a small heart attack. The confirmation box is much too, not the confirmation box, the subscribing or following sound is much too loud. Yeah, but basically they treat everything like kinda like it's made out of planes, so I might try doing the same thing. So because of it, maybe I will be able to like manage the entire geometry a bit better. And later I will like just soften it up. And the teeth will have like this disgusting kind of like yellowish hue to them. I mean, this guy, I wouldn't say he looks scary. I would say he looks kind of like stupid. But thanks. I wonder, is the sound also this loud for you? Like this, that someone is following or not? Because if it is, I need to do something with it. If it's just like the Streamlabs doing this like terrifying sound to me, then I will simply like get a heart attack on one of the streams. So if anyone could like confirm if this is like this loud, let me know. I have no way. I need to find a way to turn it off because this is way too loud. It's basically like someone detonated a bomb near my head. So it's only me getting a heart attack then. So also what I am doing right now, again, I'm trying to kind of think. Hello, Miko. I'm kind of trying to think with the planes. So when I, for example, think about the face, the eye socket, let's say, instead of like doing shit like this, I'm trying to think, okay, there is the eyeball, and there is the like eye socket. So the eye socket has something like this, and then there's like this geometry on top of like the eye socket. So something like this is happening, and then there's like this stuff happening inside of it. And then there's like a part of a forehead, let's say, so shit like this, and then there is like this happening. So basically, if I like cast a light on top of it, like this plane gets well, be a bit brighter. This plane are like a bit in a shadow because they are like not directly lit. This part is much darker because it's like in the shadow, and there's like slight of a reflected light in here. And this plane basically is like the, well, like the brightest plane. So this plane will be darker. Like these planes will be darker, and the, well, and the top plane will be like the brightest one because they are like facing directly the light source. So basically this is the general idea I'm trying to follow in here. And later I will just try to like soften it up so it will be a bit nicer to look at. But yeah, this is the general plan for now. Kinda don't like the shape of the eye anymore. most likely the face is something that I will be like redoing tons of times. I should give him like this. Ooh, I like those eyes. Those huge irises. This looks nice. Like this small glowing ridge. And the black part going from the top. It looks a bit more animalistic, I would feel. He looks like he's high. I like it. Maybe with like this. Oh. Yeah. There is a need for the light to be like from some sort of a highlight to be in here, but not like right now. I will try to add it later. Let me hit it with the Japanizing gun. Japanizing gun. Sumimase or whatever. Yeah, I want him to kind of feel more scared instead of like surprised. Now he is like, whoa, what's this? I kind of want him to be more like worried that he has to like go on to the adventure. So I guess stuff like this is a bit more needed. Top part of the nose needs to be like the brightest. Yeah, I guess a bit. I think I completely lost the demon part of it, but I don't think I do really mind this. I do enjoy him being on the... Looks a bit more like a monster from like Dungeons and Dragons or something like this, instead of like a mob from Diablo. But I guess this is how it was meant to be. I mean, I can demonize him always, but I kinda like the direction where this is going, so I think I will leave it like this. Mostly, maybe I will do, I don't know, the second version of a head, because this one is like, I do like it, but this is not Diablo. By any means, this is not Diablo. The eyes are like kinda messing with it. I will keep it in here. Let me just make it slightly more Diablo-esque-ish. So I'll make the bones. The bun need to be a bit more like disgusting, I would say. The head shape also needs to change a bit more, so it won't be looking like a toy or like an egg. Need to add a bit more of a fangs to it. I like the color of the eyes though, but the entire area needs to be... Yeah, basically if you want to make a Diablo monster, you need to make it angry. As easy as that. He looks cute. Wait, how did they made the face in Fallen 1 Diablo? What did they did with the face? That it looks creepy. Hmm. I mean, this fella also does not look like really terrifying. He has the same problem as mine does. I guess it kinda needs like the general remodeling of a face. Bigger eye sockets. More this. Now it kinda looks like a monster from The Witcher. Let's see what can be done with it. I feel the ears are kinda responsible for the lack of a feel. Like a demonic face. Ears up. Mm. And this definitely makes it look a bit more like evil, kinda like looking. But still not, now it kinda looks like it's from Dragon Ball Z. Holy shit, so many IPs in one painting. Quite a success to like fit so many different genres, like IPs in one artwork. This is basically the Carver. It's like this fella. Or maybe I will try do the things that the baboons have. They basically have like the top part of their gums like uncovered. Let's see how this looks like. looks really fucking stupid. But going into a bit now, yeah, the face. The face is the problem at the moment, the mouth, not the face. Reduce the opacity of a brush, it's a bit too harsh. Let me try bringing the eyes a bit closer together. Right. Demon face. Is there anything that looks remotely cool? So I kinda wanted to have like this. I don't know what I want from him. Maybe something like this. Like that. The teeth going kinda. We'll have like a bigger amount of like really thin needle like teeth. This kinda looks demonic. And what if they just like cut their faces open? Bottom is in the shadow and the top part is in the light. Then I don't like the nostrils. I don't like the fact that he has like the irises. The irises kinda kill the demonism. Demonic part of it. Now it looks a bit more evil. And now the eyes need to be evened. So they cannot be on like different levels. I was kind of thinking about like this type of a head shape. So it's like this muscle, and the head kind of goes like this and does this. I think it looks kind of creepy. This one is a Witcher. This one is a Witcher monster that is kind of cute. But I kind of want the monster to be like, to look feral. I don't want it to be cute in the end. So I feel this face makes much better job at making the monster look like properly evil. kind of like this fishy piranha type of a facial feature, maybe a bit of a bigger mouth. And this ear does not look like this. And now I need to only figure out the ear shape. Kinda like this type of a shape. Bit more of this. A bit more of this. Yeah, I feel now it looks proper evil. Now it looks like basically a blood-craving monster. I like it. This is kind of the way how I wanted him to look like. Need to adjust some. Yeah, this is the left one was not a face that I was aiming for. Also, I feel like making this type of a mouth kinda adds to the scary feeling of it. So there's like this and this, like this kinda unhappy shape, I would say, because this definitely does not look like a happy shape. Again, this one looks like it's going to be like 10 streams to finish, because it appears the rendering will be much harder than I thought. The ears pointing downwards, I kinda like. And some like bony shit hanging from the ears. I like the idea of him having nose pierced. It looks cool, but I will add it later. I do think. The horns I also like, the hair I also like. Hair are fine, I do believe. Let me just add some whoosh to it. So the bony part on top will look a bit better. The hair should be a bit more messy. Later a gloss on a hair will do a lot of work, where... Let me only check how it will look like without the man bun. The man bun adds a bit of a tribal feeling to it, but it kinda also makes it look silly. I do think I prefer it without it. It kinda takes away a bit of a like character from it, what I kinda like, because this is like not a monster that has any type of a like that should have any type of a character to it. It's like one of many, I would say, and because this is like a carver, he should have like carved face and everything. So he will have like this demonic type of a things here happening. A bit more light to the gums. just for the future, and some like hints of white. It kind of shows that it is like wet. Yeah, now it looks properly evil, I would say. There will be a lot of refining, but now when I feel kinda what I am aiming for, it should be much easier. Let's see if I haven't got to mid-tones on top of his head and the shoulders, in the face. Yeah, this is basically the colors I'm looking for. Can also try to but I still like this face. Yeah, okay, now we have a Diablo monster, not a Witcher 3 monster. Like warp him a bit. And on the another layer, just so I remember, I want to add some sort of a necklace with all the shits like hanging in here. So this is still like the more tribal type of a monster. And maybe some like horns growing on the arms. Like evil shit is happening in here. Something on the stomach. Yeah, it looks relatively okay-ish. Yeah, so I guess for today this will be over. So holy shit, 2.5 hours. I was not really aware of the fact how long I was streaming for. Yeah, so this is basically what we have gone through. Let me only check some like simple adjustment layers. So like let's say like some screen, and let's see a blending mode. I kinda like what it does with the lightning. I like what it did with the, well, with the eyes. And later, if we feel evil with this guy, we can go like Dark Souls type of a vibe. But they actually could have some like small flames going off of the eyes. I do think it looks kinda neat, like a demonic possession. So maybe this was some sort of a casual type of a tribe, but later it got like demonized by the evil forces of Diablo and whatever. So yeah, a bit more of a skin, bit of a shadow underneath some tits. Maybe a bit more light in here. Yeah, okay, so I guess this will be just like rendering from now on. Maybe I will even add like the second one in the background. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy today's episode, number 27, I do believe, of this fella. So basically a story of, where is the sketch? Yeah, how we go from like this to this. So yeah, hooray. Enjoy. Yeah, thanks for watching, and to the next time. Next time I think I will be streaming on Wednesday, and in the next week on Monday I won't be streaming because I won't be like available completely. So yeah, see ya, and to the next time.